These days, AI or artificial intelligence seems to be into everything. Your TV's got AI, your fridge has got AI, your car's got AI. How long before AI is built into our fish tanks? I decided to ask ChatGPT for 10 pieces of advice for shrimp keepers. These are the answers it came up with. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Richard and I'm a shrimp keeper based in the UK. So, tip number 1 from ChatGPT was tank size and setup. Provide a well-established aquarium with a minimum size of 5 gallons, 19 litres, for a small colony of red cherry shrimp. Make sure the tank is well cycled and has stable water parameters. So I'll be honest with you here, that's fabulous advice. Tip number 1, absolutely superb. I don't think I could fault that in the slightest. 5 gallons or 19 litres, that's a decent size to start off with. And again, the advice about ensuring the tank is well cycled and the water parameters are stable, fabulous advice. One to ChatGPT in my mind. So tip number 2 from the AI was water parameters. Maintain stable water conditions with a pH range of 6.5 to 7.5, a temperature between 72 degrees Fahrenheit and 78 degrees Fahrenheit, or 22 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius, and water hardness, GH, around 6 to 8 degrees of general hardness. Use a reliable water test kit to monitor these parameters regularly. Well, to my mind, this is another tip for ChatGPT. Again, this is great advice. I think this is exactly the kind of thing I've been saying on my videos, and I think fabulous advice. Well done, AI. So what was tip number 3 from the GPT? It was substrate and decor. Use a fine-grained substrate like sand or planted aquarium soil to create a natural environment. Provide hiding spots with live plants, mosses and driftwood to offer both shelter and grazing surfaces. So at this point, I have to say that's 3 in a row for ChatGPT. I don't think I can fault that at all. Not only is it recommending using plants and decor, but it's explaining why. It's saying that plants and decor provide hiding places, but also grazing spots. Shrimp love to graze, as I've said many times. They spend the entire day chomp, chomp, chomp. They need surfaces to graze on. You won't find a happier shrimp than one that has endless surfaces to graze on. So what was the piece of advice number 4? Filtration and flow. Use a gentle filtration system that won't create strong currents, as red cherry shrimp prefer slower moving water. A sponge filter or a pre-filtered power filter can work well for maintaining water quality. I love the fact in this tip that the AI recommended either using a sponge filter, or if you're going to use a power filter such as a hang-on-back or a canister filter, make sure you put a sponge over the end. How many times have you heard me say shrimp are easily sucked into hang-on-back filters or canister filters? An essential piece of kit is the intake sponge. So shrimp keeping tip number 5 from the AI is feeding routine. Feed a varied diet to ensure proper nutrition. Red cherry shrimp are omnivores and will thrive on a combination of high quality shrimp pellets, blanched vegetables, e.g. spinach or zucchini, and protein rich foods like brine shrimp and bloodworms. I think this might have been the tip that surprised me most. I'd expected it to come back and say shrimp are detrivores and they will consume any uneaten food and fish poop, etc. that they come across. But here it's not only recommending a good quality food, but it's suggesting high protein foods such as bloodworm and brine shrimp. And I've said many times, frozen bloodworm, frozen brine shrimp, they are crucial to your females being able to produce lots of babies and for your colony to be able to grow. Great advice. So let's take a look at tip number 6. Water changes. Perform regular partial water changes, about 10 to 20% of the tank volume, every 1 to 2 weeks to maintain water quality and remove excess waste. I have to say, that's 6 in a row for the AI. Water changes are a crucial part of maintaining a healthy, balanced shrimp tank. The only thing I would add to that is change the water when needed through testing. Don't change it purely out of habit or out of fear. I think a lot of us are guilty of just changing the water once a week, once a fortnight, whatever it might be. I always change 10% once a week. In fact, I do think what we should try and do is change water when we need to. We should test our water regularly, and if we find we've got elevated ammonia, nitrites or nitrates, carry out a water change. Other than that, I would say leave the tank be. Shrimp love stability. They want the tank to be left alone as much as possible. Don't change water out of habit, but change it when you need to. So let's take a look at tip number 7. Avoid copper. Red cherry shrimp are sensitive to copper, so avoid using medications or treatments containing copper in the aquarium. Copper can be toxic to them. Of course, this is absolutely spot on once again. Copper in medications that are designed for fish can prove fatal to your shrimp. And you should always check medications are shrimp safe before adding them to the aquarium. And the same is true of any fertilizers. Always do your research and make sure if you're going to fertilize your plants, the fertilizer you're using is shrimp safe. Now, I should point out here that copper is actually a crucial element that shrimp do need in their food in microscopic quantities. So when you see a fish food or a shrimp food that lists copper in its ingredients, don't worry about that at all. A shrimp without copper in its diet won't be able to grow and function and will die pretty quickly. Copper in medications, no go. Copper in food, essential. Let's see what tip number 8 was. Breeding conditions. If you're interested in breeding, ensure a stable environment with plenty of hiding spots and live plants. The presence of mosses and dense vegetation provides ideal locations for females to carry and protect their eggs. Again, as mentioned previously, when it comes to a good, healthy shrimp colony, it is all about the stability. And I have to say, in the last few years, I really am coming around to the female shrimp wanting locations to deposit their eggs before they hatch. So let's take a look at tip number 9. Minimize stress. Keep the tank relatively undisturbed to minimize stress. Sudden changes in water conditions, temperature or lighting can negatively impact their well-being. So I think that's 9 in a row for ChatGPT. When it comes to keeping shrimp, sudden changes are always bad. Sudden changes in pH, sudden changes in temperature, sudden changes in water parameters in general can be bad for shrimp. I think it's really important that us shrimp keepers, rather than try and strive for perfect water conditions, we strive for stable water conditions. If our pH isn't quite what the shrimp want, but it's close enough, if we maintain it, they will adjust. If we're constantly tinkering with the water, trying to raise the pH, lower the pH, do a water change, that is stressful for the shrimp, and I think it's bad for their long-term health. Shrimps don't necessarily need perfect conditions, they love stable conditions. So let's see what was tip number 10. Compatibility. Choose tank mates carefully. Small peaceful fish like neon tetras, endlers and otocinclus catfish can coexist with red cherry shrimp without posing a threat. However, avoid larger or more aggressive fish that might prey on or harass the shrimp. While I have to take my hat off to ChatGPT, that's 10 out of 10. I don't think I can disagree with pretty much any of those points. Now, the reason I was most surprised about this little experiment was the fact that I know that sites like ChatGPT, they're just pulling information from the internet. And the internet is littered with absolute garbage. People have gone to write an article about shrimp and all they've done is find another article that answers the same question, changed a few words, changed it a little bit, and spouted the same rubbish that they've read elsewhere. So for ChatGPT and other AI programs to go out, look at the information and actually bring back useful, informative information, rather than just spouting out some garbage that they've pulled from other websites, I think it's absolutely superb. So do I think there'll ever come a time where AI will actually be keeping shrimp? No, of course I don't. They'll never get the lids off the pots of food. But apart from that, I thought it did pretty well. Now, tools like ChatGPT can be really useful, especially if you're new to the hobby and you're trying to find some of the basic answers. And if you want to avoid the 5 most common reasons you shrimp keepers fail, watch this video next. Thanks for watching.